Welcome to Group 10's video presentation. The members of Group 10 are Denisha Daxon, Dejanay Miller, Damika Moss, and Rashay Simmons. Objectives: 1. To define what is an emotionally intelligent leader. 2. To discuss the qualities of an emotionally intelligent leader. 3. To discuss how to delegate care. 4. To discuss ethical dilemmas and courage. 5. To analyze effective ways to deal with a workplace bully. Hello and welcome to the first episode of Team Collaboration. My name is Student Nurse Simmons and I will be discussing emotionally intelligent leaders. So what is an emotionally intelligent leader? An emotionally intelligent leader is a leader that displays emotional intelligence throughout their leadership, with aspects of empathy, motivation, self-awareness, and good social skills. So to help learn the qualities of an emotionally intelligent leader, we have an acronym that spells out leader. So L is for listening. An emotionally intelligent leader listens and values the quality of listening more than being a talker. E is for equipping. An emotionally intelligent leader equips their staff and employees with the necessary tools, necessary materials, and resources so that they can get the job done efficiently and effectively. A is for appreciation. Emotionally intelligent leaders show an appreciative attitude towards their staff that invest time and effort in getting the job done, especially in this case where the job well done is good patient outcomes or quality patient care. D, development. A good emotionally intelligent leader always is invested in professional development, as well as they encourage others to become more developed and grow and enhance themselves in the professional setting. E, educated. Emotionally intelligent leaders are educated and they seek to know a lot of knowledge in their field, as well as they enlist the help of others when they are not as knowledgeable about a certain topic. R is for relationship. Emotionally intelligent leaders develop healthy work relationships with their staff, and they see the symbiotic nature in having a healthy work relationship. And they also work on maintaining that relationship with their employees. Next is episode 2, which will discuss the do's and the don'ts of delegating care with Damika Moss.
Welcome everyone to episode 2 of Team Collaboration series, and in this episode we will be discussing delegation do's and don'ts. And my viewers need to know what are the definition of delegation, what is purpose, and the 5 rights when delegating, and when not to use it is the question. Okay, so let's get to it. So delegation is when a licensed registered nurse transfers responsibility to a person who is competent enough to do a certain nurse task. Okay, so the purpose of it is to free up registered nurses' time to focus more on critical patients. Remember the key word, critical patients. And it also gives them other tasks to do what needs to be completed. And it's beneficial by reducing burnouts and balances this workload. Okay? So when you're doing delegation, you need to do the 5 rights first. So it's the first thing is you gotta do the right task. You gotta have the right person who qualified to do it. And then you have to have the right circumstances, and then you have the right direction and communication, and the last thing is the right supervision and evaluation when doing your delegation. That's the first thing you need to know, guys. That's the first thing. And on top of that is when to do it and when not to do it. Let's get down to it. So we use this word TAPE. Very easy to remember. And the acronym is TAPE. Very easy. So this we're going to help registered nurses to know when to use delegation strategies to an LPN, which is a licensed practical nurse, or UAP, which is an unlicensed assistant personnel, or as I said again, a person who's competent enough who could do a scope practical to carry out a nurse's task. Okay, so on top of that, as I say, remember the word TAPE, then you will be good to go and ready to go of knowing how to do your delegation skills. Okay, so T is for teaching. If you have to teach this patient, then you cannot delegate the strategy. If you have to do assessment, new admissions, or doing a comprehensive assessment for this patient, you cannot delegate this strategy, and you cannot give this task to anyone else to do. It is the registered nurse responsibility. And then you have P, planning, care plans, interventions, goal, no. The only thing the LPN, the UAP could do for you, or the CNA could do for you, is reinforcing it, carrying out your plan, but they cannot create the plan for you. Okay, and then the last thing is educating, evaluation. Okay, they cannot educate the patient. It's the nurse's responsibility to educate the patient. So that means registered nurses are still accountable for the patient outcome. Okay, you still need to supervise your assistants, the registered nurses. You still need to supervise them. Okay, you still need to supervise the LPN, the UAPs, to make sure they're carrying out the task well. And that's why I said you need to know how to do your 5 rights of delegation first. Okay, and LPNs, UAPs, they only supposed to do basic care, which is wound care, hygienic needs, feeding, and so forth. Something primary, nothing so severe, nothing comprehensive, okay? And to understand it more, I'm going to give you a scenario, which is to help you understand a bit better. So, for an example, a nurse who provides home care to a client requiring dress changes for a wound extended below the dermis could delegate that situation, okay? It could control the client's spouse. And in this instance, the nurse has delegated control of acting performing a procedure below the dermis, which means that this patient is stable. That's number one. And this is a very basic procedure that a registered nurse could give this certain task to. Okay? And so for that, make sure always remember, if your patient is unstable, you cannot delegate a strategy for that. If your patient's stable, you could. So, on to the next episode of Team Collaboration Series. We'll discuss ethical dilemmas and courage with student nurse Miller.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Team Collaboration Series. I'm student nurse Dejanay Miller, and in this episode, we'll be discussing ethical dilemmas and courage. Ethical dilemmas occur when choices need to be made, the answers may not be clear, and the options are not ideal. Nurses often find themselves in ethically questionable situations that conflict with their personal and professional morals. Nurses and other medical staff look to nurse managers for appropriate and ethical decisions. As a result, nurse managers in particular are susceptible to ethical dilemmas because of their leadership and mentoring roles. The following scenario illustrates the ethical dilemma a nurse experiences when her patient advocacy encounters resistance and her courage is challenged. It also describes effective management strategies that can be used to help nurses resolve these problems. Julie, age 45, works in the intensive care unit at Princess Margaret Hospital. A registered nurse for 20 years, she is now a charge nurse on the 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. shift. She has an in depth understanding of the going ons of her hospital and is highly respected by her peers. This weekend, Julie is busy as usual when Dr. Smith, an attending physician, tells her she's unhappy with Susan, a staff nurse. According to Dr. Smith, Nurse Susan seems to question everything Dr. Smith does for Mr. Fox, her agitated, semi comatose patient. Susan, in the meantime, speaks to Brenda, a new nurse graduate, about Mr. Fox's apparent need for more sedation. She says she hesitates to ask Dr. Smith for a sedative order because of her experiences with retaliation in similar circumstances. Brenda, who has studied moral courage at nursing school, finds it disheartening that an experienced nurse like Susan seems to lack the courage to speak her mind about a patient's care because she fears negative consequences. She recognizes that Susan's concern over her patients need to be elevated and finds Julie to tell her that Susan may need help. After Brenda speaks with Julie, Julie then enters Mr. Fox's room, assesses him, and then she speaks with Susan and Brenda, validating their concerns about his care. With Brenda present, Nurse Julie talks to Susan about options for speaking up for what she believes in and what is in the patient's best interest. Julie presents the option of using objective data, namely the SBAR, using situation, background, assessment, and the recommendation, using this as a technique to resolve the situation. She role plays with Susan how to approach other team members when she has a concern about patient care and suggests that she uses this technique with Dr. Smith. Taking Julie's advice, Susan speaks to Dr. Smith. An hour later, she tells Julie, "It has always been so hard for me to step forward and say something when I know a patient should be getting better care. But the technique you showed me today really helped me present the facts to Dr. Smith in a professional way without making her feel threatened. Now she understands the need for medication and Mr. Fox is more comfortable." Later, Brenda tells Julie that she is so grateful that she had the opportunity to witness moral courage in action. In an organization whose culture supports moral courage, communication is open at all levels. Policies and procedures support ethical practice, and leaders practice staff empowerment. Empowerment creates a positive work environment through such structures as professional practice, models, and shared governance, as well as participation in ethics committees. Leaders must ensure that these structures are used to make individual and organizational accountability expected behaviors. In organizations that advocate accountability, managers must have the moral courage to generate crucial conversations with all healthcare team members. A crucial conversation is a discussion between two or more people where the stakes are high, opinions vary, and emotions run very strong. For example, Julie, the charge nurse in our case scenario, role modeled the needed communication to resolve Susan's conflict with Dr. Smith, demonstrating the crucial conversation Susan needed to initiate with Dr. Smith in order to make their patient, Mr. Fox, feel more comfortable. Additionally, nurses can increase their effectiveness as agents of change by using peer support when they need to exercise moral courage for patient advocacy. This helps to combat the groupthink effect of putting direct pressure and not to oppose the other group's views. Peer support helps leaders to understand that more than one staff member supports morally courageous actions. Even when other colleagues may disagree with a courageous nurse who speaks up for a cause, nurses should be expected to support their peers' rights to address tough issues and problematic clinical situations. In our case scenario, Brenda sought peer support from Julie in handling the conflict and offered Susan her unsolicited support. In this way, peer support for nurses' efforts to exhibit moral courage can improve the effectiveness of individual attempts. Nursing environments that foster these peer environments are highly desirable. To end with a quote by Clement Stone, "Have the courage to say no, have the courage to face the truth, do the right thing because it is right. These are the keys to living your life with integrity." That is the end of this episode on ethical dilemmas and courage. Now, on to our final and fourth episode. We will now discuss how to deal with a workplace bully. See you next time.
Welcome to episode 4 of Team Collaboration Series.
My name is student nurse Tanisha Daxon. I will be discussing how to handle a workplace bully. One may ask, what is workplace bullying? Workplace bullying is defined as a pattern of mistreatment by coworkers that results in physical or emotional harm. This can be verbal or nonverbal, physical abuse, and psychological, as well as humiliation. Do you believe you work with someone who is a bully? Do you find yourself being frightened by and fear of working with a certain coworker on a frequent basis? Are you being yelled at, insulted, and put down on a regular basis at work? Is there any reason this behavior isn't acceptable? Is a coworker taking over you in meetings, criticizing your work all the time, or taking credit for it? Are you receiving threatening messages or emails? Are you getting yelled at in front of other employees? Just to name a few, these are all examples of bullying. Workplace bullying can result in health issues, unnecessary stress, and decreased productivity. And that's only the beginning. As a result, it is critical to take suitable measures to deal with workplace bullying in order to protect your health. According to a new research, and I quote, bullying is one of the most concerning form of aggression in healthcare organizations. Bennett and Sawatsky, 2013. You must deal with bullying in the workplace, especially a healthcare facility, in order to make the work environment a better place. Because if you are being bullied, if one is being bullied, and that person feels as though no one cares or they are tired of it, then you will be short of staff, and then the other staffs will be overworked, and that's where it becomes a problem. But here are some effective ways to deal with bullying in the workplace. You must focus on a workplace culture, including conducting regular cultural audits, encouraging a mentor or buddy system. This way, it provides a supportive environment whereby staffs are encouraged to vent or ask for assistance with any matters they are struggling with. Also, facilitating easy access for staff to obtain confidential counseling or advice services. Fostering an environment where staff feel comfortable raising concern and complaints with their peers and management. And I feel like this is important because if I could explain or express my concerns to you as manager or as even a peer, as my colleague or peer, and you understand and we have an agreement, or you have your different opinion, your different views, we can settle whatever we have in a manner, in a sensible manner. Another Another one is having clear zero tolerance policies regarding workplace bullying and harassment, which are easily accessible to all staff. And finally, ensure that this zero tolerance policy is demonstrated by senior management to their so there is a top-down recognition of adherence to the policy from all staff. And also, staff need to be regularly reminded of the consequences of any poor behavior in the workplace, and this should be reinforced during staff meetings. Thank you.
These are our references, and thank you for tuning into our video.